In the year 1519, the Aztec Empire would be doomed to fall after the arrival of Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortes. Through a combination of disease, brute force, and betrayal, it only took the Spanish about 2 years to completely ravage and nearly eviscerate an entire civilization off the map. The little that remained, in conjunction with Spanish culture, over the course of generations would form into what would eventually become modern day Mexico. For some, this would be Cortez's legacy, the fearless leader who expanded the glory of the Spanish Empire to the Americas. But from the perspective of the Aztecs, he was little more than a mass murdering monster. Throughout history, there has always been a dichotomy between the legacies of the conqueror and the conquered, the oppressors and the oppressed, whether it be Genghis Khan or Napoleon Bonaparte, or even the namesake of Alexander the Great, sparks debate because this perceived greatness might have worked out for the Kingdom of Macedonia, but not so much for the piles of bodies he left in his wake. Going back to Cortes, we know that Spanish conquistadors ultimately ended up triumphing over both the Aztec and Incan civilizations of Central and South America. However, there is a third party from that area that carries a little uncertainty as to how exactly its empire fell: the Mayans. While there is no concrete answer as to what caused their demise, scholars have attributed their downfall to a combination of political strife and environmental factors. Essentially, it could be argued that they effectively destroyed themselves from within. And just like the real civilization, the titular Mayans we're about to discuss saw their organization crumble not solely because of external problems, but because of internal issues that festered until the integrity of the entire club could no longer carry the weight of it all. The blame for the collapse of the Mayans MC ultimately lands at the feet of the show's main character, Ezekiel Reyes, the man who would make himself into a conqueror in the pursuit of perceived greatness. When Sons of Anarchy concluded in 2014, it was clear that there was still a desire for more from this universe. However, the series creator and showrunner Kurt Sutter told the story he wanted to tell and felt like SOA didn't need to overstay its welcome. So the natural next step was conceptualizing a spin-off series, which was initially supposed to be a prequel following a young John Teller in the early days of the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club. Over time, that idea evolved into staying within the established universe, but from the perspective of a different club and culture. Sutter never felt quite comfortable telling this story on his own culturally as a white man, so to bring a sense of authenticity to the show, two major hires were made: Elgin James as co-creator and writer, and the amazing Emilio Rivera as a technical advisor. With Rivera having played Marcus Alvarez on Sons for 7 seasons, he was also the perfect bridge between SOA and Mayans, not just from a character perspective, but from a cultural one as well. And with the Mayans MC being a Latino-based club, they were the logical choice for this new series, giving Sutter the opportunity to expand the world without it feeling necessarily linear. Despite it taking place after the events of Sons of Anarchy, I wouldn't describe Mayans as a sequel per se. It's in the same universe, but a completely new story. And with that new story, of course, comes a new main character, the aforementioned Ezekiel Reyes, aka Easy. As where Jax was already an established part of the club in the previous series, Easy is a brand new prospect, starting from the bottom and having to work his way up.
Easy.
Gas it up and detail it. I don't want to see a speck of dust, huh?
Easy is brought into the club following an 8-year stint in prison by his brother Angel after what's later revealed to be for the murder of a police officer. The idea is to give Easy some type of structure in his life, as it's difficult for ex-cons to make it post-incarceration. His entire life is turned upside down following the murder of he and Angel's mother, which eventually led to a chase with the culprit and subsequently the accidental killing of a police officer who was in the area. Easy's stay in prison hardened him as he had no choice but to go from the golden boy who was accepted to Stanford to a notorious cop killer. That's how he wanted to be perceived in prison in order to survive. However, deep down, he was desperate to get out, so unbeknownst to everyone except his father Felipe, Easy makes a deal with the DEA to infiltrate and inform on the criminal activities of the Mayans, who, if you remember, took over the heroin trade from the Sons for the Galindo cartel. Easy's task is to report to DEA agent and, funny enough, second cousin, Kevin Jimenez about any dirt he can gather on both organizations in exchange for his freedom. Being a federal informant in this world is a huge risk, and yet Easy is often torn between his loyalty to his brother in the club and his desire to regain his freedom and to move on with his life.
The day the DEA has enough to move on that cartel's the day that I walk away. From you, the MC, this town, all of it, I get my fucking life back.
The plot thickens when it's revealed that Easy's ex-girlfriend and high school sweetheart Emily is now married to the head of the Galindo cartel, Miguel Galindo. So in an ironic twist of fate, both these former scholars end up in the very same criminal underworld. It's clear that there are still some unresolved feelings between the two, but Easy has to put them aside or risk damaging the club's relationship with Galindo. Easy's intelligence is one of his biggest character traits, as illustrated by how often he's seen reading and quoting philosophy, bolstered by the fact that he has a photographic memory, which he often puts to use throughout the early seasons of the show. This ability effectively acts as a superpower in a pretty grounded world, so I'm glad it got nerfed by season 3 because more often than not, it acted more as a plot convenience than an actual character trait, giving Easy access to knowledge that he reasonably shouldn't have in order to progress the plot of the story. Because he grew up a mama's boy, after her death, his relationship with his father is that much more emphasized and important. There is a visual duality in how Felipe treats Easy versus how he treats Angel. He loves them both, but feels like there's still hope for Easy to live a normal life, as opposed to Angel, who he feels is too far gone. Easy is very aware of this, even if he can't admit it to Angel or, more importantly, himself. The show does a great job at making them feel like actual brothers, in no small part thanks to the brilliant performances and tangible chemistry between JD Prado and Clayton Cardenas, with one being the gruff older brother dedicated to the life and the studious younger brother hesitant to dive back in. Definitely reminds me of the early seasons of Supernatural and how much that show built up the necessity of brotherhood between its two leads. Easy's relationship with Angel is his most important in the series, both narratively and thematically, because over time there does seem to be an ideological switch between the two. Early on, Easy is effectively using the club as a means to an end, while Angel is so devoted to the club that he's willing to bend some of its rules for its own good. By the time the final season rolls around, the two are in diametrically opposite places, with Easy being the one who feels like he has to do for the club what it won't do for itself, and Angel looking for a way out due to his desire for normalcy. Because he is newer and isn't as hardened as some of the other members, when the club needs a softer touch to get shit done, Easy is usually their go-to man, able to use his puppy dog eyes and, more importantly, his empathy in order to gain the sway of others. In the early seasons, Easy spends a lot of his time doing the grunt work for the club because of his prospect status, and when he isn't partnered with Angel, he can often be found with Coco, who acts as a sort of unconventional mentor for Easy as he adjusts to the life. One of the biggest lessons that Easy learns from Coco is that everything happens for a reason, and you have to roll with the punches that life throws at you, even if you don't understand why in the moment. To live in that moment and accept it as part of your path going forward.
As fucked up as it was, shooting that cop, that was your truth. It had to happen. It led you to this. All that other shit, It ain't real. It ain't even a memory. That's the fucking noise, man.
With the death of his mother lingering at the forefront of his mind, what Coco is trying to teach him is something that he needs to hear, and even adopts that mentality into his own life as he gets deeper in the club. But being in as deep as he is, of course, comes with its own set of complications. The truth about Easy working with the feds comes to light when he and Angel are both arrested and are confronted by US ADA Lincoln Potter, who Sons of Anarchy fans may remember as an antagonist from season 4 of the show. It seems that Potter has moved on from investigating the Sons and IRA and has turned his attention to the Mayans and the Galindo cartel. To keep the investigation going, it's crucial that he keeps Easy out of jail and offers to clear his record if he continues to feed the feds intel about the ongoings of both organizations. Angel is furious and deeply hurt when he finds out about his brother's deception, which causes a rift not only with Easy, but their father as well. If the club ever found out, there's zero chance that they'd believe that Angel knew nothing about it when he brought him in as a prospect, putting them both in danger.
The club will think I was a part of it. They won't think I would be that fucking stupid, though, that I would let my own baby brother fucking betray me. Not like this.
In addition, Potter has tasked the brothers with killing Kevin Jimenez due to him interfering with the cartel investigation. A task they reluctantly complete, but another agent is killed as collateral damage. Keeping his word, Potter does clear Easy's record. However, due to the killing of the other agent, Potter puts the brothers right back into his pocket, meaning he can use them as CIs indefinitely. Angel wants Easy out of the club, but at this point, he feels as if he's already given too much and there's no turning back now.
I don't know who the fuck I am anymore, Angel, or what I should be doing, but I know I'm not supposed to run. So I'm not going anywhere.
Those feelings of seeing things through are solidified when Easy spots a member of SOA and realizes that he's the very same person who killed he and Angel's mother. That person is Happy of Sam Crow. Happy being the killer is the first major twist of the show, as he isn't just a random person, but someone who audiences know and is yet another connecting tissue from the previous series. While we may be familiar with Hap, Easy and Angel are not, and now they have to contend with their own desire for revenge and loyalty to the club. With Happy being a member of the Sons of Anarchy, the Mother Charter in particular, the Reyes brothers can't just act on vengeful instinct because the Mayans and Sons are on good terms now, and killing a member could be seen as a declaration of war. A byproduct of now having a common enemy is the eventual reconciliation between Easy and Angel, as it takes facing their mother's killer to make them realize that family is the most important thing in their lives, and at the end of the day, it's all they have. Unable to tell club president Bishop, they're forced to take matters into their own hands.
We know you're a trigger man. Before you were Sam Crow, you're a nomad, gun for hire.
Who the fuck hired you?
They try to use interrogation techniques on Happy of all people to find out who hired him to kill their mother, and obviously he isn't talking, despite being maimed and tortured. Easy's main suspect is the Galindo cartel, as he recently discovered that Felipe used to not only be a federale, but was somehow wrapped up with the cartel's head at the time, Jose Galindo, Miguel's father. After having the life of his dog threatened, Happy finally caves and tells them that all he knows is that the order came in from Mexico, but doesn't know specifically who it was who sent it. It's not until they have Emily do a little research and speak with Felipe that they're able to confirm that it was in fact the Galindo cartel, but the hit didn't come from Jose, but his wife and Miguel's mother, Dita. Back when Felipe was working for the cartel, he had an affair with Dita where she fell head over heels for him and became extremely jealous of his relationship with Easy and Angel's mother. Worried about what Dita or Jose might do if he ever found out, Felipe and his wife escaped to the US with new identities. Initially, after thinking that Jose or even Miguel was the one who ordered the hit, it's only after Easy sees Dita that his photographic memory allows him to remember that he's seen her before, about a decade prior at a fair with his parents, meaning that Dita has seen his mother and Felipe before. After years, the couple was eventually found out and Dita's jealous rage was reignited, prompting her to hire Happy and have him kill Easy and Angel's mother. Although they've managed to quell their beef with Happy, they can't look past Dita ultimately being responsible for her death despite Felipe's pleas to them to let it go. He knows what killing her will do to them, what it'll do to Easy in particular. His desire for revenge is what led him to accidentally shooting that cop in the first place, and Felipe doesn't want him making the same mistakes and doesn't want his sons giving into the temptation. But their minds are already made up, and Easy takes it upon himself to do the deed.
Easy, this is not you. Depa. It is.
Though there is some hesitation, this action marks a turning point for his character because he's never killed anyone in cold blood before. The other deaths he's been involved in have always been accidental or business related, but it's never been personal. Not to mention that the way he kills her isn't by gun or weapon, but by his own hands, slowly choking the life out of her in such a visceral way that it leaves him in tears. He doesn't know it yet, but the nature in which he took his revenge would have detrimental consequences for who he would go on to become. This emotionally cathartic moment is juxtaposed to another, with Easy officially being voted into the Santo Padre Charter as a full-fledged member of the Mayans MC. All the time, effort, and work he's put in has finally paid off, and change for the club was on the horizon. Speaking of changes, I do quickly want to address something that happened in between seasons 2 and 3 of the show. Kurt Sutter was fired as showrunner after Disney bought FX, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. I don't know if he didn't kiss the right person's ass or if he pissed the wrong person off, but knowing Disney, it was probably both. Starting in season 3, co-creator Elgin James took over as showrunner, and with that new role came new storylines, presumably for the characters, and a new production style, which included shooting in a widescreen format as opposed to the regular full screen format that we're used to seeing. There's more background music in between the dialogue of characters, and just overall, you can't help but wonder what the show would have been like had Kurt Sutter remained at the helm. It definitely gives the show a more cinematic feel, but between his time as a writer and producer on The Shield and the showrunner of Sons of Anarchy, two of FX's biggest properties, I feel like he earned the right to retain creative control, but I guess we'll never know. Anyway, back to Easy. Season 3 kicks off by showing the now rocky relationship Easy has with his father. Felipe is depressed by seeing what Easy has become, despite his son's best efforts to mend that fence. This is actually helped by Easy's new love interest, Gabby. She left a life of criminals and hardship behind to pursue a better life in America by going to nursing school. She knows that Easy himself is a criminal and yet maintains her romantic interest in him because she feels that he is a good person beneath the veneer of the MC. Because of her interest in Easy, she takes it upon herself to help Felipe out of his slump, something that Easy is very grateful for and makes him all the more interested in her. She's able to break through his rough exterior to get to the core of who he truly is as a person, which isn't something that just anyone is able to do. She even sticks around after Easy is shot, which is a direct contradiction to the life of criminality that she wanted to leave behind due to how much she cares for him. The two end up having a deep connection that quickly blossoms into a full-fledged romance that I'm not even sure Easy completely understands, but he knows that she makes him happy and that's enough for him. Comparing how loving her family situation is to how tenuous Easy's family dynamic is leaves things a little rocky, but what really makes their relationship take a turn is when Easy gets into a brawl with some frat bros who are being disrespectful towards her, Rather than walking away and letting it go as she advised, he chooses to fight them anyway, and in the scuffle, Easy accidentally hits Gabby, causing a contusion to her face. It wasn't necessarily the hit that upset her, but his decision to choose violence in that situation when he didn't have to. It was that choice to give in to his worst instincts that caused her to look twice at their relationship. Because of that, she chooses to break up with Easy and go to nursing school in Lodi instead. His relationship with Gabby is contrasted by his mentorship of Steve, a new prospect who has joined the club. Steve is clumsy and soft compared to the other members and doesn't seem cut out for the life at all, and they don't hesitate to let him know it. That is, except for Easy. Easy constantly encourages Steve to stick with it as he just finished his run as a prospect and knows all too well how hard it can be. During a huge brawl with other Mayans, Steve shoots someone in self-defense, accidentally killing him. This event causes Steve to suffer from mental anxiety, but doesn't feel like he has anyone to talk to about it, except for Easy, who's given him plenty of good advice before. But when he tries to open up about it, due to the fallout with Gabby, Easy snaps on Steve by giving him some harsh truths and reinforcing their identity as Mayans.
Put it away. You fucking lock it away. This is what we signed up for. This is who we are.
Steve takes those words to heart, and in his lowest moment, he references them right before taking his own life right in front of Easy. Steve's sudden death rocks Easy so emotionally that he's willing to forsake the club in order to remain with Gabby. He's forced to make the choice between life in the MC and life with her, and he chooses her, and she chooses him. The day they were supposed to leave town, Gabby stops by Felipe's shop where she has a serious conversation with him. He tells her that if she stays with Easy, she'll be destined for a life cut short, just like Easy's mother. I think Easy being shot, or maybe what happened to her face, made Felipe understand that Gabby would always be in danger as long as she was with him. And it's not that she was scared off or wants to leave him, but she thinks that leaving alone will be the best thing for the both of them in the long run, so she does. Once Easy catches wind of this, at first he's heartbroken, and then he's furious with his father because he feels like Felipe ruined his one real shot at happiness. This action would forever fracture their relationship to the point that it would never recover. While Easy and Gabby's romantic subplot was happening in the background, the Mayan Civil War was taking place in the foreground. The other charters feel that Santo Padre is getting a little too big for their britches, making unilateral decisions on the club's behalf, and uses their proximity to the border as leverage rather than sharing the power, which is what Alvarez wanted before he stepped away, which led to club-wide infighting. Easy is also struggling to find his voice within the club as a new member, hesitant to speak up when his opinions don't align with the consensus of the club, but with the help of Angel, he is eventually able to learn to stick up for himself.
You speak up if you got something to say.
You fucking cut me off.
Then you fucking should have said it again. All right, you got a patch now that means something in there. Stop acting like a bitch-ass prospect.
We brought you here because we're not shutting down the pipeline. We're gonna keep the H flowing to Arizona.
Shut the fuck up! I'm not finished!
He uses his smarts to come up with solutions and machinations to solve Santo Padre's problem so they can maintain their advantage in the power struggle with the other charters, and as a result, earns the respect and adoration of his brothers. However, things escalate so quickly that he begins to lose himself in the process, which is what leads to him accidentally hitting Gabby and Steve subsequently taking his own life. While trying to take out Conche, the president of the Yuma charter, Easy blows up a building with Conche's son in it. He isn't sure if this is something that he would have done before, but due to his newfound dedication to the club, it was something he did with almost zero hesitation, a decision that worries him deep down.
The cut's not a bad fit. Fits too fucking well. I'm good at this. And I don't know if that's a good thing.
He feels that Gabby was his one shot at normalcy, and now that she's gone and his relationship with his father is broken, he's left with nothing but his commitment to the Mayans, and it couldn't come at a better time because the consequences of his actions are at the front door, looking for blood. Conte survived the bombing and has arrived seeking revenge on the entire charter, especially Easy. The club briefly skirmishes with the other charters, injuring several of them, but very quickly they run out of ammo and are sitting ducks. Easy offers himself up as a sacrifice in order to save the others and appease Conte, but they have so much respect for him that they don't allow him to go out on his own. However, the plan backfires as everyone is lined up execution style as Conte plans on killing them all, only for Alvarez to show up at the last second and angrily scolds everybody involved for all the bloodshed. Months later, it's shown that Easy and the others have survived the execution thanks to Alvarez, and he's taken over Santo Padre as president, demoting Bishop and forcing the charters to play nice with each other in an attempt at reunification, to mixed results. Easy himself took the entire experience to heart and is sporting brand new Mayan tats, affirming his dedication to the club. He even makes a like-minded friend named Manny, who also wants to squash all the Mayan beef and unite to make the entire organization stronger.
You know who killed the Aztecs, bro?
No fucking Cortez.
Yeah, everyone says you're real smart.
Well, you're wrong.
It was the other indigenous tribes. If we spend all our time hating each other, we ain't gonna be ready when our Cortez comes knocking.
Tensions have greatly risen between Alvarez and Bishop, so when Bishop steps out of line, he has his VP flash stripped and it's unceremoniously passed on to Easy. It seems that Alvarez was more frustrated with Bishop than anything, but he's still seen how Easy has stepped up to make peace lately compared to the others and views him as the best candidate. Being new to the position, Easy hesitates to use his newfound power as a flex because he doesn't want it to seem like it was something he was angling for, but he eventually does wield it to set an example for the rest of the club so they know who the new second in command is when Bishop starts talking shit.
Anything else?
Hey, what are you doing?
You better respect your VP.
Easy takes the opportunity to try to patch things up with Conte, but due to his kid being hurt during the Civil War, he isn't looking to accept Easy's sincere apology and attempt to put aside their differences.
Don't let me get you slipping.
Easy may be looking to fix things within the charters, but he definitely isn't looking for any sort of reconciliation with his father, who he still hasn't forgiven for what happened with Gabby, despite how much time has passed. That connection is severed, but he does manage to reconnect with an old cellmate named JJ, who helped Easy through his rough time in prison. JJ is suspicious of Easy because he was only in prison due to the heinous nature of his crime, and then one day he was just gone, which isn't usually how it works when you kill a cop. He's struggling to find work to provide for his family, so he comes up with a plan. He knows that there must have been some sort of federal interference to get Easy out, so he blackmails Easy into getting work from the club under threat of exposing the Fed connection to Santo Padre. Despite being an old comrade, he can't risk JJ airing him out, so rather than allowing himself to be strong-armed, he makes the decision to eliminate JJ, but not before giving him the option to take himself out for a huge payday for his family to be taken care of.
You know I was never gonna say nothing.
I can't take that chance. Club needs me.
Rather than turning the gun on himself, he tries to use it on Easy, and Easy coldly shoots him first. It's a decision that Easy makes with a surprising amount of callousness. He's met JJ's family, survived prison because of him, but when the alternative is effectively a death sentence, Easy does what he has to do. This represents a domino effect in the slow change in Easy's personality from off and on again reluctancy to someone with a killer instinct. And this wouldn't be the only time Easy would coldly murder someone. With the looming threat of Conte, Easy also knows he can't just stand around waiting to be killed by him either, so during a shootout, when Conte is least expecting it, Easy gets to him first.
Conche, caught you slipping.
The proverbial Cortez Manny spoke of arrives in the form of the San Bernardino charter of the Sons of Anarchy. They aren't unaware that one of their members, Montez, is missing, and they believe that the Mayans were somehow involved. They only get confirmation after his body and cut are discovered in a barrel that the Mayans stuffed him in, so now the dubious alliance between the clubs is coming to an end. Once the Mayans are officially greenlit, the Oakland charter is hit in a drive-by where unfortunately Coco is killed. The club is still recovering from a civil war, so Alvarez doesn't think it'll be smart to immediately jump into another one, but Easy undermines his call by pushing for retaliation, much to the chagrin of his president. After receiving the confirmation that it was indeed the Sons that did the hit, payback is definitely on the table, and that's fully what Easy intends to do by killing Sam Dino's president in the hospital. When he, Angel, and Manny infiltrate the building, they run into some of the other Sons and in a panic start a massive shootout that extends through multiple wards. In the rush out of the building, someone spots Easy and he turns around to see a shocked Gabby of all people. Angel, having just shot a security guard, kidnaps Gabby in the chaos since she knows their identities. As Easy desperately tries to convince her not to rat them out to the police, she refuses to stay quiet and promises to do the right thing because she's a good person at heart, and Easy's goodness is completely surface level. At his core, he's a Mayan, and in a twisted moment of melancholy, he proves it.
Your mother would want you to do the right.
What did you do? Easy, what the fuck did you do? Easy!
I remember watching this moment on Hulu a few years ago, and I grabbed the remote so quick because I needed to pause so I could process what I had just witnessed. Like, I knew Easy was losing that Boy Scout status, which was fine, but never in 100 years. I never thought he would kill Gabby in such a cold-blooded way that the moment caught me off guard. At first, it did seem out of character and I was ready to angry tweet about it, but the more I thought about it as the season went on, this moment did directly play into Easy's characterization because all season long he's been killing people left and right, just like with JJ, just like with Conche. He did what he had to do for the sake of not just his survival, but Angel's. So when it was Gabby's turn, it made sense for the type of person that Easy was becoming. Gabby being such a big and influential part of Easy's life, and him being responsible for her death gives Easy nightmares about what could have been. Even though they weren't together anymore, in the end, Felipe was right about her ultimate fate and his son being too far gone to be helped.
What did you do? I know who I am now.
The end of Easy's relationship with Gabby is directly contrasted against the beginning of his relationship with the new romantic interest, Sophia. Just like Easy, she's a broken person with a damaged past and never tries to fix him as Gabby may have tried to, and expects the same from him. I wouldn't exactly call their relationship loving, but it just so happens to work between the two. They definitely like each other and respect each other's boundaries, and for two people who have been previously shattered, their pieces somehow align to make them whole. But even with her now in his life, all of the bloodshed, scheming, and murders in particular committed by Easy have added up to have a detrimental effect on his psyche to the point where he's a completely different person than we saw early on in the series. The guy who just wanted to use the Mayans to gain his freedom is gone, replaced by someone who is more than willing to kill in their name. His cold-hearted nature doesn't just end at physical actions, it extends to political ones as well. Easy uses knowledge about the Mayans' past in order to call for a kill switch, an old Mayan bylaw that allows the members of a charter to kick out any president via unanimous vote. Essentially, it's a vote of no confidence in the current leadership. And once Easy gets fed up with Alvarez's push for the club not to rock the boat and to not aim for higher goals, he executes that kill switch against his former ally in order to secure the presidency for himself. In both theories, we see that the rank of president usually isn't something that's given, it's something that has to be taken by force, whether through opportunistic machinations or pure hostility if necessary. I'm sure Easy was prepared to use either method, but either way, he's managed to secure power for himself at the head of the table and plans to use his intellect, or more aptly put, his arrogance, to take the MC up to brand new heights. And with step 1 now completed, step 2 is to wipe the Sons off the map entirely, starting with their arch rivals, Sam Dino, something that Angel doesn't seem all too sure is a good idea.
If you are not on this train, please walk away, or it'll run right over you.
Easy and Angel's relationship is strained, but seems to get better at the discovery that Angel now has a son, giving Angel, and by extension Easy, something to live for, or more specifically, something not to die for. Easy understands where Angel is coming from in regards to family, but at the same time, questions Angel's dedication to the club now that a new variable in Angel's life has been introduced, causing his brother to show signs of hesitancy and potentially disloyalty to the cause. He decides to put that loyalty to the test by taking Angel out into the desert to deal with an old loose end, the person who killed their mother. Easy's behavior has been so unhinged lately that Angel almost thought that he was going to be killed by his brother, but it turns out that Easy just wanted to see if Angel would be willing to kill in order to get revenge for their mom. It takes some coaxing from Easy and even Happy himself, but eventually, Angel reluctantly pulls the trigger, no longer the angry man he used to be. Their positions on the club have now flip-flopped from where they were at the beginning of the show. Angel is now the one hesitant to get in deeper, and Easy is the one that's fully committed.
It's all that we're capable of. It's all that any of the Reyes men will ever be. Killers.
Easy's drive and killer instinct are pushed to the limit once he meets Isaac, the new president of Sam Dino, and tries to force their unconditional surrender. Isaac, being a bit unorthodox, instead suggests a fight to the death, one son versus one Mayan. Loser surrenders the war. Of course, Isaac picks the biggest son in the room as his representative, and Easy, wanting to prove how down he is to ride for his brothers, elects himself. In an absolutely brutal fistfight, Easy barely manages to come out on top after having to kill with his bare hands, but Isaac, being the POS that he is, goes back on his word to end the war. Meanwhile, a Santo Padre member named Creeper has taken the fall for some of the murders that the Mayans have previously committed and is being targeted in jail. A girlfriend of his who was an undercover ATF agent named Cody got him to feed her information about the club, but fell in love with him in the process, leading her to try to exonerate Creeper by letting him know that there's an informant within the club that started the investigation in the first place, but she doesn't know who it is. He's able to let Hank know about the rat, and with Easy being a trusted and respected figure within the club, they don't suspect him, and Easy is able to divert suspicions to one of their bar girls who has some fringe ties to the Sons, making them think that she was the rat, killing her off. They did end up killing a snitch, just not the one they were looking for. Creeper initially doesn't believe Cody, but after some research and even losing her job behind it, she is eventually able to find enough proof that the CI for Kevin Jimenez was none other than Easy, and with the way he got out of prison, it makes sense. He's only able to confirm that information after looking Easy in the eyes and confronting him directly.
I'm about to take this club to heights it's never seen.
I fucking believed in you.
believe in me just a little bit longer. We are on the verge of greatness.
He may have started as an informant, but that's not how it is anymore. Not since they got out from under Potter's thumb, but he can't explain that to the club without potentially compromising he and Angel's lives. And with Creeper threatening to tell the club, he's thrust into yet another kill or be killed situation, and he chooses to have Creeper killed in jail, and he justifies that decision by saying it was to protect the club from itself, but the reality is he was trying to protect he and Angel from the club. Easy speaking out at Creep's funeral as if he didn't effectively kill him in jail is incredibly two-faced and artificial, even for Easy. Cody, who knows the truth about him, picks up on this deceit and makes it her mission to bring Easy and the club down. Through all the death and turbulence, Sophia has stood by Easy, but she can feel him becoming more and more distant and worries that they'll lose each other the deeper Easy gets, and she may have a point because he has been pretty emotionally detached in terms of their relationship. It isn't until he has a run-in with Wendy that she's able to compare her relationship with her mysterious ex to Easy's that he's finally able to see clearly and realize just how important Sophia is to him. She's who keeps him level-headed and grounded. They still haven't dealt with Isaac, and before they even have a real chance, Isaac and the Sons break into Felipe's house looking for Angel, but instead they find Felipe there alone with Angel's son, who manages to fight them off, but not before being shot and killed protecting his grandson. This loss absolutely devastates Angel, but it hardly seems to faze Easy, even though I think his emotions on the matter are definitely more introspective. He and Felipe only shared one scene together all season, and not a word was spoken, but I think the silence conveyed what each of them were feeling in that moment more than any dialogue could have. In a desperate attempt to put an end to things definitively, Easy has to rally all of the remaining Mayan charters, as well as the Grim Bastards and even an LEO MC, to completely overwhelm Sandino. In the fray, Easy is able to chase down Isaac and get him isolated to an alley, still pissed off about their previous interaction. He takes his emotions literally by killing Isaac mid-sentence and then subsequently pissing on his corpse. It seems a little anticlimactic seeing as the war has been going on for the last season and a half, but this is only the penultimate finale. The worst for Easy and the Mayans has yet to come. Easy and Angel's relationship has been rocky all season as they've both been dealing with major changes in their lives, and part of the change for Angel is wanting out of Santo Padre and the Mayans altogether. With his son now being his #1 priority, he just doesn't have the heart for the life anymore. Easy is initially distraught, but he understands and even encourages Angel to follow his instincts, with both of them planning to tell the club later. As the club is celebrating their victory over Sam Dino, Easy is lulled into a false sense of security by thinking peace was just around the corner when suddenly the club turn on he and Angel seemingly out of nowhere. Potter teamed up with Cody to take down Santo Padre, and she was able to speak with Bishop and let him know about Easy being a CI and killing Creeper. Bishop passed this information on to the rest of the club without the Reyes brothers' knowledge, and now they're going to force Angel to prove he wasn't involved in Easy's scheming by making him kill his own brother. An emotional Easy takes responsibility for everything in an attempt to save his brother, but they still need to see Angel prove it. Angel, sobbing, plunges the knife into Easy, and then one by one, they take turns stabbing him in a twisted ode to Julius Caesar's death, causing Easy to succumb to his injuries and die on the ground in Angel's arms. They even go as far as killing Sophia, since she would potentially be a threat and come after them for killing Easy. Considering how their story presumably ends, they may have had bigger problems. As for the story of Easy, it was cut short not because of a choice that he made in the end like Jack's, but a series of choices and bad decisions that led to his untimely demise and the complete destruction of the Santo Padre charter. Thankfully, Angel and his son were able to survive, but all of the destruction that Alvarez saw coming came to pass, and Easy was the one to lead them there. He always presented himself as the smartest person in the room, which oftentimes he was, but he lacked the wisdom to truly understand what would happen if he tried to change the entire outlaw ecosystem overnight. And for a short while, the Mayans were on top of the food chain, but it was built on a foundation of lies and mistrust, and eventually it all collapsed under the sheer weight of bullshit. And I think that was the point of the story. It was a cautionary tale. As where Sons of Anarchy ended on a sad but hopeful note, Mayans ends on a tragic one. In the pursuit of perceived greatness, Easy destroyed every relationship he had, destroyed a charter, and ruined the structural integrity of an entire organization. He had lofty goals and high expectations, but he flew a little too close to the sun and came crashing back down to earth.
You hear that? Birdsong. Birdsong. As they fly above us, blissfully unaware of the drama below. No matter how awful the moment we may find ourselves in, the world keeps spinning, the birds keep singing. I mean, surely you know this is all meaningless. I mean, we are each meaningless. I had hoped that would offer you some peace, as it does for me. We are each one tiny story in a universe filled with trillions upon trillions of them, give or take. And no matter how much it may hurt today, no matter how utterly important our actions may seem to us at any given time, we will eventually be simply forgotten. When that end comes for you, Ezekiel, know that somewhere the birds will still sing.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I made a promise almost 3 years ago when I made that Juice video that I was going to cover Mayans one day if the videos got likes, subscribes, views, and all that shit. And you guys more than held up your end. So I figured it was time for me to follow up on my part of the bargain. So hopefully you liked it. I did have to restructure this video in a sort of a different way to make it more YouTube presentable. So I hope y'all liked it more than whatever bullshit I was gonna put out before. But I have no idea what I'm gonna work on next. Maybe it's a Sons video, maybe not. I don't know yet. I haven't even started writing. But whatever it is, hopefully y'all will like it, and then we can keep this train rolling. I'm Josh Fleeks. Till next time, y'all be easy.